written here, the area of a triangle is half base times the height. So find the area of each triangle. So here, we've got 3 measurements. So first thing we need to do is figure out which one's the base and which one's the height. So we're going to say this 3 centimetres is our base and 4 centimetres is our height. Our base and our height always need to be perpendicular from each other. So we're going to say area equals half times base times height equals half times 3 times 4, which equals 6, and we've got centimetres, so that becomes centimetres squared. Next one, so here we've got our base is 3.5 centimetres and our height, well, we've just said that has to be perpendicular, and we've got a right angle triangle here, so we know that this 2 centimetres is perpendicular to that. So again, we're going to say our area equals half times base times height, which is half times 2 times 3.5, which equals 3.5 centimetres squared. So now, if you pause this video and have a go at C and D yourself. Okay, so first of all, again, we need to find our base and our height. So this is our base. This 4 isn't going to help us with anything because that's not perpendicular to our base. So we've got this 1 centimetre here. So we've got half times base times height, which equals half times 1 times 5, which is 2.5. And again, that's centimetres squared. Here, again, we've got a right angle triangle. So the 2 is our base and the 4 is our height. So we've got half times base, which is 2, times height, which is 4. So that gives me 4 centimetres squared. So now we're going to have a look at triangles which have a different orientation, so where the base isn't along the bottom. So here we're given 2 lengths, but neither of them are along the bottom. So we're going to treat this 2 centimetres as our base, because then we've got this 3.2 centimetres to be our height. Our base and our height need to be perpendicular to each other. So then I'm just going to do the same as I did before, so half times base times height equals half, and we've just said our base is 2 and our height is 3.2. So that gives us 3.2 centimetres squared. So B, we've got a right angled triangle. So as we've just said, our base and our height need to be perpendicular to each other. Well, as we've got a right angle, we know that 1.8 and 1.5 are perpendicular to each other. So we're going to say our base is 1.5 and our height is 1.8. So we've got half times 1.5 times 1.8, which gives us 1.35 centimetres squared. So now if you pause this video and have a go at C and D. Okay, so again, our base doesn't go along the bottom here, but we need 2 lengths which are perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to say my base is 3 and my height is this other 3. So I'm going to do half times my base, which is 3, times my height, which is also 3. So that gives me 4.5 centimetres squared. And D, well then they've got 2 lengths here, but they are perpendicular to each other, so I can treat them as my base and my height. So I can do half times 2.5 is our base, times 3 is our height. And that gives us 3.75 centimetres squared. So now if you have a go at these questions yourself, then I will give you the answers in a second. So there's the answers for you. Okay, so now let's have a quick look at some worded questions. So a farmer wants to plant seeds on their field, and that's what's shown below. Seeds cost £2.50 per square metre. How much will this cost? Well, the first thing we need to work out is the area, because that is going to give us how many square metres it is. So we're going to say area equals, and we've got our base and our height as 14 and 10. So we can say half times base times height. That gives us half times 14 times 10, which is 70 metres squared. But we're not finished here because we need to find our cost. So it costs £2.50 per square metre. Then we're going to need to multiply £2.50 or 2.5 by the number of square metres, so by 70. So we're going to say cost equals 2.5 times 70, which is £175. So now if you have a go at this one yourself, and I'll go through it in a second. Okay, John wants to paint a wall in his attic. Paint costs £1.50 per square metre. How much will this cost? So again, we need to find our area first. So I have a base of 6 and a height of 4. So I'm going to say area equals half times base times height, and that gives me half times 6 times 4, which is 12 metres squared. So again, it's £1.50 per square metre. So that's £1.50, and we're going to multiply that by 12. So cost equals 1.5, £1.50, times 12, which gives us £18.